Welcome, everybody, to Coach Shop Podcast. It's your boy, Pat Bayless. I'm back in the building. We're doing a 3-part series today, y'all. Something that is super important to me is really breaking down life and breaking down different things that we go through mentally. And one of the biggest things is being trapped. A lot of it is mental, being trapped in our mind, being trapped in things. And today's episode is called Trapped in Turmoil. And the guy I wanted to bring on here to do all three of these episodes with me is my cousin that obviously y'all have seen on episodes before, but I wanted to bring somebody on here that's a deep thinker, a smart person, and an individual that's been through things and sees things on an everyday basis. So without further ado, I just want to say welcome, Adam.
All right.
Happy to have you back, my brother.
Always.
So, turmoil. Everybody goes through turmoil in life. Everybody's dealing with something, whether life is good, life is bad, but turmoil is something that everybody goes through, maybe multiple times in life, maybe not as much as others. But when you think of the word turmoil, what comes to mind?
From what I've seen, people who go through turmoil specifically, I see it's a situation that you can't no longer control. You're dealing with the result. Doesn't mean you did anything, but it could be part of association, location. Could be something that you feel like you deserve or don't deserve, but you have to get through it regardless. And how long that situation may last could really be on your next set of decisions.
Yeah, I think turmoil to me, it reminds me of fire. Like I think of fire when I think of turmoil. I think of the absolute worst, or how you gonna get through it, but you're going through something so severe. When I think of turmoil, that's what comes to mind. Do you feel like in your life you've had multiple, being at the age you are now, 34?
Yeah, 34.
34 years old. Would you say that in your life now you've had multiple moments of going through turmoil?
100%. I think it's the times where you really say, how do I get through this? How do I survive this? I don't have the answers. And you start to look for others who may have gone through it, who may have answers for you, who may have some kind of guidance. But at this moment, you've hit your peak of really understanding what's going on. So your stress levels are beyond comprehension. Your thinking is no longer logic. You're kind of pushed into that fight or flight mode, and you're forced to stand there and bear what's going on, but you want to get out of it as soon as possible. And the shortest amount of time feels like forever.
I think for me, uh, I wouldn't say I've been through many things where it comes to as far as I feel like turmoil, but I definitely feel as though I kind of glided through life in moment, like especially young. There was no turmoil for me. It was okay. There was sad moments. It was my grandmother at a young age. Sad moment. I was 11. But besides that, there wasn't too much turmoil. My life was very much sheltered, very much calm. And I think as I've gotten older, life, life absolutely comes and hits you in different ways. And that word turmoil does get to a certain point where it's almost that boiling point of where do I go and how do I figure out this life? Because you're questioning things. You're saying, why is this happening to me? When I've done good, I haven't hurt nobody, I haven't done anything in that manner. But why are these things happening to me? And another thing I think of in that moment is it almost messes with your spirit. Like I feel like in a way it's spiritual warfare. And I feel like it's that whether you believe in God or you believe in a higher power, whether it's a constant battle where it's like, why would you do this to me? Why am I going through all this heat? And we have people out here that are doing wrong and we visibly see them doing wrong and nothing's happening to them. Nothing, you know what I'm saying? They're good, but everything is happening to me. And I feel like a lot of people can relate in that manner where life just feels like it's against you at certain moments of your life. And it's one of those things where you want to push forward. Do you ever feel like your spirit, through any of the things you've gone through, have you ever felt like your spirit has been bothered or moved?
I feel like if you put a certain kind of energy into the universe, certain things will attract and gravitate towards you. And not necessarily having to be a person who is always, I guess, down, depressed, and woe's me, and like a Debbie Downer all the time. A lot of these things could be I guess, hard to perceive because if you keep on getting in a situation of like a domino effect, and so many things are happening in the worst ways for you, or a lot of inconveniences, whether it be things breaking down in your life, financial situations. Now your love life is having a problem. Now you're having trouble at work, and you're just like reaching this point of like, when is it going to end? When is it going to end? And then you look at somebody else who's, like you said before, doing whatever they're doing or doing nothing, and everything seems to be flowing with them. Great. I think you were being built for these challenges because you're going to be able to help somebody else later because you're going to survive. And it's just nobody's going to tell you that, but you're going to figure it out eventually.
Yeah, I think I'm going through something recently, and it gives you perspective, it gives you lessons, and you kind of have to take the good from it. Whether you agree with it or not, you got to take the good from it. So for me, even in, I would say, the past week, 2 weeks, it's been interesting. Life has been interesting. That's what I could say. And I'm taking the good from it and taking the lessons from it. And like you said, for me, it's with everything I've been through in life, whether it's been relationships, loss, and other things, I've always tried to find the lesson in it, the beauty in it. Um, for me, it's pushing that forward. So like, there's somebody that is very close to me that's one of my homies, but he's a young boy. He's like 21. And I look at him like a little brother. You know what I'm saying? And for me, it's like he's a great person. So don't get me wrong. He's not doing anything silly or going down the wrong path. He's absolutely doing a great job at being a good human being. But for me, I always still encourage him to not go down certain things, or not do certain things, or it's just for me. I always want to keep him on the straight and narrow. Not to say I'm a bad person, because I'm not, but I've also just learned things from your trial and error. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. Like you said, it's teaching knowledge, it's pushing forward, and then it's also understanding and taking the positive out of it, because people may not want to hear this, but most things are positive. Most things are lessons that you can make and turn into a greater good for people. One of the words that I thought about when I was really thinking about this episode and really, really in my thought was the word dysfunction. And some people come from dysfunction, right? Like, some people come from dysfunctional homes, dysfunctional families. And how much would you say that almost leads them into the route of being in turmoil and being in a place where it's almost comfortable?
I recently spoke to somebody who was going through a situation she didn't understand, and she lived a rough life. She definitely had a lot of things that were lined up that wasn't really fair. She was just opening up to me and stating, it's hard to not have a person of structure in your life. It's really difficult to not have anybody to look forward to, and it's so stressful to always have to protect yourself. But when you're with your peers, that's what she felt normal. That's what she wanted to be in certain areas. That didn't matter what really happened. As long as you yourself not feeling bad, you wouldn't feel bad. You wouldn't feel bad about whatever may have gone down. And you don't have a lot of knowledge of what may be going down around you, but you feel comfortable because these are familiar faces. It's a familiar environment. Even though statistically or historically it may show that this is a violent area, this is a scarier area to others who don't want to, be in that life or be in this vicinity. For her, it felt like home because when she would go home, it wasn't a meal ready. It wasn't dad saying this, mom saying that. Those people were absent. There was no grandma, head of household. People were absent. She was talking about experiences from like group homes and how she wants to aspire to be something so the people who are looking for her or looking after her can be proud and then she can be proud of herself. But she's been dealt so many cards that I was just like, this is breaking my heart hearing it. Because at a young age, to be given so many challenges that some adults will never even experience, it's like all I could tell her to do is push on, do what's best for you. And then you will probably benefit the most from just removing yourself from that environment. And her rebuttal was, I love the family that I have. I can't. And I'm just like, maybe you could leave, do better, come back, take care of who you got to take care of. And she's like, I have nobody at that point.
This goes into the next question that I really thought about as well was, is it crippling to these people that go through this when there's so much dysfunction in the beginning? Is it really crippling, or is it more so comforting? Because when I think about it, I think about, for me, I can only go from the experience. I don't feel like I ever came from a dysfunctional household, those things. I think I was blessed in that way that I think I didn't have to deal with that. But we'll say this: my relationships were good, and then some weren't as good. And I also know that even though moments of not being good, I still felt comfortable. I still felt, even when things were, turmoil, quote unquote, that person, even if it was with that person of turmoil and no good, and it still felt comforting to be around them, and I've learned over, years of, you have to separate that. You have to move away from that. But when you're starting off so young, so early as a kid, where it's really molding you, the dysfunction is normal. I would think it has to become a place of, when they're telling you the story, your heart is breaking, but for them it's so comfortable. Where they're at is so comfortable. They don't know anything else. And I think that is where it's hard, because I'm sure for you, you were trying to inspire, but also teach in a way of like, listen, you have to get out or move on from that dysfunction and that turmoil. And do you feel like, even in the field you're in, do you feel like you're seeing so much? So do you feel like you, in a way, have become comfortable with seeing dysfunction and turmoil just all around you?
I wouldn't say that I'm comfortable, but I can identify situations and levels of stress and what people's minds are going through. I'll tell them straight up, and I'll be real with them every time. No matter what your crime or inconvenience is right now, I know you're going through some level of stress. Maybe they're cool, calm, collective. They'll do whatever time, you know, the judge may say, and they're fine, and they'll get out, get back to the block, do whatever they got to do, or get home to whatever they call home and be fine, brush off their shoulder. Some people, it could be a first offense. They're just there by association. They're breaking down mentally. They think the whole world is over, and they don't know what's next. But each and every person, I talk to them as if there's no bars in between us. There's no cuffs on the wrist. We are having a conversation because I'm trying to get you to recognize this situation is temporary. And for you to get through it, you got to not give power to people who are wasting your time. There'll be times where females will be, in the area, and they all have to be lodged together. And one will pop off and say something about somebody's family member. And women are very protective of their children. So that mother instinct will cause them to be irate. And then they would want to defend their kid's name, defend their family name. Excuse me. And then it could be like a fight, something that goes on. That's adding more charges if you assault that person, and then they want to press charges in that situation.
Right.
And a lot of people act tough until somebody really pulls the card, and then they show them how they really are. But now you're giving that person power over your freedom, over your time. You're already here for a date. Now you got another date and another person to deal with. Now you're giving more of your life to somebody you don't even know. So I try to calm them down without being so generic, because people who don't want to deal with it be like, oh, relax. I can't relax. I'm not home. I'm not in a familiar environment. I don't know you. I'm just doing what you said so I can get through this. Now somebody else is challenging me during my moments of stress, during things that I cannot do. They literally stop time in my life from progressing when I'm supposed to be going on and doing forth and whatever I got to take care of. And now they want to challenge me because they think it's funny, because I'm stuck in here with them. And I literally told the lady she was ready to fight. She didn't want to hear nothing. I was like, you got kids? She's like, yeah, she's talking about my kids. And I don't care who you are. I'm going to take you out because you're talking about my kids. I was like, the mission is to get back to your children. She stopped. She's like, yeah, but she's talking about my kids. I was like, don't give that person power. So you don't even know her. He's like, you're right. I'm like, get back to the babies. Get back to those kids. And that should be your only mission.
Right.
Yeah.
So self-infliction, like self-inflicting wounds, I feel like is a big thing also.
Mm-hmm.
You spoke about it. Being able to have that mental that nobody wants to, like you said, nobody wants to hear disrespect towards them, especially towards their children, towards their family, you know. But there's also a level of having that calmness, that peace, that humbleness, and understanding what is the consequence that would come if you did something so silly. And I think that sometimes I really do feel that sometimes the turmoil that we go through is all self-inflicted. It is. I seen the red flag from a mile away, and I got closer, and it got closer, and it got closer, and I ignored it, and I kept ignoring it, and now I'm in a shitstorm. Now I'm in a storm that I don't even know which way is out. I don't even know which way the light is. I don't even know what is going on. And I think people got to be real with themselves that we all at one point do that to ourselves, where we love and we adore maybe somebody, or we love or we adore a moment, and we want to sit in that dysfunction. We want to sit in that tornado that is a mess. But again, the dysfunction is okay because they're there, or that person, you know, that person's there, or the house is there, or this is there. And self-inflicting wounds can lead down a disastrous road for people, a turmoil that could last longer than you want it to be because you don't want to let go or don't want to put away that pride and that ego. And I think one of the biggest things that you said about, you know, the story that you just told is it's a lot of pride, it's a lot of ego, because at the end of the day, you don't want to get disrespected. But like you said, the end goal is to get home. The end goal is to get where you need to get to. And people have to really, really sit down with themselves in the moments of turmoil when you can't see out of it, and really sit down and be like, what is the necessary steps I need to take in life to pursue what I have to do and where my goal is. And I know some people that they don't know. And it's natural. People don't know what their purpose is. People don't know what their calling is on this earth. Like that, it happens. So I can understand, and you see it. And I'm sure you see it all the time. Is people with potential that just don't see their potential. But you can see it.
Yeah.
And I think that's hard too. I mean, I think we've had family members, we have friends we've had that don't see their potential and truly who they are as a human being, and it can hurt, and it could be hard. But to see people go through things and see people go through turmoil, not only yourself, but it's a thing that I think is just hard. It's just really hard. What would you say turmoil wise, right? Like being trapped. You know, and when I think of being trapped, I think of not being able to see a way out of it. What would you say out of everything in your life? What age? We don't have to really describe what you went through, but what age did you find yourself the most trapped in that turmoil in your mind?
I say high school. Excuse me. I say high school because there was a lot of downtime. Because you make a lot of the choices to kind of navigate through what future or experiences you want. And you can do it by association of friends. You can have family. You can have sports, whatever it may be. But for me, there's a lot of downtime, a lot of time to think, a lot of people that you can attach to as like role models, leaders, or you could just detach from everybody and kind of isolate, but nobody's looking for you. So I didn't have too much trouble interacting socially. But when it gets quiet and that silence starts to become almost like a white noise, almost deafening, because nothing around you will make a noise. Nothing around you will distract you and keep you from having thoughts. Then you start to really wonder, what am I doing here? What is my purpose? Who am I for? Who am I helping? It's like I'm a reflection of my family. You know, The first gift they gave me was my last name, showing them acceptance. First name, second gift was my first name, you know, and that's how they identify me. That's how they see me, and then that's how they want the world to see me and address me. What else is there? You know, where am I from? How deep do my roots go back? Am I supposed to represent that? Am I supposed to amplify that? Am I supposed to, like, who am I really representing, and what is my goal? And nobody's there to really answer it unless you ask them. And you got to look to your elders. Hopefully you have them, depending if you have a matriarchal or patriarchal, status style household. You're looking at, hey dad, hey grandma, hey mom, like, where we come from? What do we do? What'd you do at my age? And you're in this standstill of comparing what they did, their accomplishments, their accolades, and then you start to be grateful, like, oh, I come from great people.
Right.
I come from good stock, great genetics, because I feel good about myself. But if there's no one to really ask these questions, or no time, or a lot of space in between, you start to question yourself, because your peers will always challenge you, because whatever is going on in your life may not be normal to them. Because you use the word dysfunctional a lot, and I feel like that's an outside looking in kind of term.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they have the family cookie cutter image that seems to be traditional, but they don't have money, then you're like, is it really working? Or maybe if they have a not so normal family that they're looking at, and then they're rich, and they're like, well, maybe that works.
Yeah.
Or maybe they don't have a family at all, and they're struggling or doing great. You're like, how do I compare on what's really normal, and how does that reflect status?
Right.
It's like so many questions that you just conjure up, that you're like, who's really going to answer these questions for me, until you take that step to, like, I'm going to figure it out for myself.
Mm-hmm. I think also with that, what you said is true. You kind of go through those things in life. I think there's also moments of, I didn't expect to be here. I think as kids or young adults, teenagers, where you're in your head, or you're thinking about things, or you're in that moment of deafening silence, you think about life and you think about where you want to be. And you're thinking at 30, you're going to be something else. You're thinking at 25. I mean, you may reach that and more than what you expected, but there's also a turnaround where you may have not reached where you thought you was going to be. Right. And I think we hear a lot, especially on social media, is how many people haven't reached where they want to reach. And, even though everybody wants to create the image of everything is good, when people really get behind the mic and really speak the truth, a lot of people say, I haven't gotten to where I really want to get to. And I think that's something that could really play in somebody's mind, is when you're thinking is, how did I get here? Or maybe I know how I got here, but why did I get here? Where did I go down this road of left, where I just should have kept going straight?
Mm-hmm.
Why did my brain, or why did my mind think that it was okay to have fun in this regard, or do this and make these choices? And you sometimes could question yourself. But I also think there's an outside premise too that could also um make a depiction of who you are, and then not be the case. You can be a good person and people not think you're a good person. You can do all the right things and be doing all the right things, and people could assume that you're not doing the right thing. And I think that's also another thing of mentally getting through challenges, is understanding that you have to love yourself. And loving yourself is one of the main things.
Yeah.
You can be paranoid, you could be all these things and go through real mental things, like mental hardships, right? But loving yourself is the first things first. When you have times of moments of when you're alone and there's nothing else to do but to think, you think about how much do you love yourself. You think about how much you accomplished. You think about how much you got going. You also think about how much you left behind. You think about how much you haven't done. And loving yourself is such a key thing in life. And I've talked about it on multiple podcasts, but having faith is so important. And having almost like a new vision, a refreshed vision on life. How many of us truly have a refreshed vision on life as we get older? Like, yeah, we transform, we have these moments of I transformed from being a kid to being an adult to getting married to having a child to having multiple children and being a parent. But has your vision refreshed? Have you gone and really took the next step mentally to when it does become a thing where it could be dysfunction or turmoil, you know how to navigate those waters already. You're
Mm-hmm.
not the little boat in the ocean. You're that big boat that knows how to just get through it. It takes the waves, but it stays planted.
Mm-hmm.
And I think society, we run a lot. We have to get to a point where we stay planted in who we are, stay planted in even when we sometimes lack our own, I want to say, faith or our own trust in ourselves, stay planted and realize who the heck we are at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say you feel the same way that I just explained to you moving forward in life?
Honestly, a lot of people I've been talking to kind of helped me understand the silver lining theory so much more because I like to see people win. I like to see people become successful. I love being a great cheer section for people who just progress in life and reach their goals. And it makes me feel great. Yeah, I don't have to be responsible, but if you're doing what you want to do and you're bettering yourself or you reach goals that you never thought you could reach, more to you. I think that's the most, like, that's the best feeling you could ever get. And then I also feel like you forget to be your own cheer section as you go through life. Because if you compare to somebody who may be the same age, but doing better than you, in your opinion, and you're just like, man, why am I not there yet? You start to forget about all the accolades you really do have unless you got somebody reminding you, you did this, you've done that, you're successful. And you're like, I don't feel successful. I was like, well, there's somebody who don't even have a platform to start with
Right.
that's
Right.
looking at you like, man, how does this person have this many episodes, this much money, these many cars? And then that person with all the cars, like, man, how does this person driving that expensive car? And how does that person have that boat? And that person's like, man, how does that person have a plane? Or, how does he buy an island? And it's like, you got to remember to be your best person in that cheer section of your own and be grateful. Like, just remind yourself to be grateful for what you're doing
Right.
and how far you've gotten. Because when you lose sight of that, you start like discrediting things that you worked really hard for or discrediting the people in that cheer section who's been riding with you for so long that they start to like flake off bit by bit because they see like, this person's not really caring about themselves as much as I am. And it becomes like a challenge.
Mm-hmm. I think that's perfectly well put. I think people have to truly understand that it's okay to speak when you're trapped in your brain and trapped in a turmoil, like what's that word? Tumultuous things in life. Like when you're trapped in those things, sometimes it's not okay to hold it in. Sometimes you have to speak. So, we're ending this episode. I really just want to make that a point, whether it be me or you or, people in general, therapists, make sure you reach out, truthfully reach out to people that not always are in your circle, but sometimes people that you just that need guidance. Um, Going through life, it's hard to navigate life, but being in turmoil is a little bit different. It's a step above. It's a step of fight or flight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really want people to watch this episode and understand what we said and take inspiration, but most importantly, speak out before you make a decision that could change your life. Speak out and listen, but don't listen to answer. Just listen to absorb. And I think if we continue to do that as people, I think this world will be a better place. And I think we will continue to move forward into greater, just greater places in life. And it's just so important that we take those ideas and we continue to flip it onto the next generation, next generation, next generation. Because life ain't gonna be perfect. Life is gonna have the pains in the asses and the things of that nature. But we have an ability to change people's lives, whether it's 10, 20, 30, 1,000. Those 10 people could change the next 10, the next, and it could be this cycle. And I remember as a kid, I used to never believe that. Like, one man could change the world, and everybody be like, nah. I would always be like, nah. But it's a true thing that I've seen it even with just clips. People have reached out and it's changed people's thoughts, or it's inspired people to do better. And to me, that is important and inspirational. So, Adam, I just want to say thank you for being here.
Of course.
This is only part one of a 3-part, but I just want to thank you for being here, my brother. And that's another episode of the Culture Shop Podcast. We out of here.
Yeah, we